Another video. In this video, we'll talk about this use case called close, modal, and redirect. Now, this use case popped up because I was working with a client and it took me about 10 to 15 attempts to get it right, and I still couldn't get it right, but I finally did, so I think it's worth documenting as it may come handy to somebody who's using it in the future. So, what am I doing here? Basically, I've got 3 pages. I've got page 1, I've got page 2, and I've got page 3. Page 1, I've got this button add a client, which when it's clicked calls page 2 but in a modal, like this. So let me show you configuration. You click on the hyperlink, you go to system actions, redirect, internal, and we're doing a simple redirect to page 2 in a modal like that. So all of that's pretty straightforward. Now, when I get to page 2, what I want to do is create an account, but after it's created, I want to close it and end up on page 3 and show that account details that I've created. So, to give you an example here, so I will say demo test account 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, this is going to create it, close the modal, and then take me to page 3, which will show you actually the details that I've created. So it's pretty straightforward. But it uses a variety of things in here. Now this isn't called in a modal, but this definitely is. So let's walk through the use case here. So step 1, page 1, what I've done is, again, redirect. This I've talked through. We're going to redirect this one in a modal, which is page 2. And then parameter wise, I've created a global parameter, custom variables, and my parameter is called this one here. It's just called global account parameter, which is where I pass the global account created ID in there. Then on page 2, this is the modal that pops up. I've created 2 fields, account name, account number. And on this page, I've created a local parameter, just a 1, and I called it pg2 local parameter right over here. And that's all I've done. So what happens, how do I populate that parameter? Well, I do it through here. I've created a push. So I've got 2 rules, and the first rule, what it does, it creates a push. So I'll show you the push here. All it's doing is creating an account, and I'm mapping the account name and account number. And then I'm saying, once it's created, pass the value to my local pg2 parameter. That's all I'm doing. So the local pg2 parameter is under pages, page 2, configure action, static, pg2 local param. That's what I'm passing it. So that's the first step of that rule, and then the second step of that rule is this. I'm doing a redirect. At first, I'm saying go ahead and close the modal. That's the first step. So in that case, all I'm doing is enabling this checkbox over here, and that's it. Number 2, what I'm doing is I'm setting parent parameters. Now what this means is, first of all, you need to check enable for this to work, and then configure. Now on the left hand side, I have got my global parameter, and on the right hand side is the pg2 or page 2 local parameters. So local on the right hand side and global on the left hand side. And essentially the parameter is actually going to get passed from here to here. You might think actually it's going to go from here to here, but that's not the case. I'm passing the local parameter into the global parameter. That's what I'm doing. So on this one, my value is the local parameter, and I'm passing it into my global parameter. That's what I'm doing. That's what this page is supposed to do. Now, back in page 1, what I've done is this. In fact, it doesn't even relate to page 1 because it's just a parameter that I'm actually configuring. So this is my global parameter. I put a condition on it. I said if it's not empty, just redirect me to page 3. So very, very simple here. I'm saying redirect me to page 3. That's it. And then on page 3, I'm running a get. So let's go to page 3 and I'll show you. Figure actions, and then here I've said run every time this Salesforce action. And what this action is, it's actually very simple. It's doing a get, and get is account ID equals a global account parameter, and then in the mapping I'm just bringing back account number and name. That's all. So when all of this is said and done, essentially this is what happens. I'll click save, click preview, add a client, pops the modal test 1 2 3 4 5 6, create account, and what this is now going to do, close the modal. It's actually already passed a parameter in here, and remember what we said, if this is not empty, go over to page 3. Now we landed on page 3. There's my data that I've just created, and that get has run again based off my ID here. So account ID equals this, whatever it is, run the action on this one. So as I said, this use case actually took me quite a lot of tries to get it right. So I think this would be really handy. I don't know when you could actually build 6-7 different use cases out of this, but it's good to know how it actually works.